you're the brains and the good looks, and I'm the zealotry. So I think that's a good mix.
That's great.
That's all we need.
Well, then answer it.
But the incredible boost this is giving to land prices makes it really hard. The main thing I'm talking about today is it's hard to attain building at the same scale and scope here, which is a lot of what people around here talk about. Oh, they want to retain the neighborhood character.
Hello Boulder and the wider world. This is the Sharing Boulder podcast. My name is Philip Ogren, and for our third episode, I interviewed my co-host David Adamson about his efforts to make his neighborhood an inclusive community. David is the founder of the Goose Creek Community Land Trust, a nonprofit organization whose mission is, quote, "To ensure our land widely benefits generations of today and tomorrow, we will create, preserve, and advocate for housing that is permanently attainable for a diversity of income levels." David lives on North Street, just 1 block south of North Boulder Park. We started our conversation on the far west end of the street where the construction of a multi-million-dollar single-family home is currently underway. This episode was filmed on-site at 3 different locations on North Street. We want to encourage our listeners to check out our YouTube video of this episode, which has the same audio as the podcast, but also includes video footage of the neighborhood.
I'm here with David Adamson on 6th Street in North Boulder, and he wanted to show me this house because it kind of encapsulates some of the thoughts he's had about rejuvenating his neighborhood. And so tell me about this house.
This is just a great example of the extraordinary appeal of this area, that someone would be willing to come in here and tear down a house that was built in 2002. There was a big custom house, a nice modern custom house. Pay $2.45 million, then scrape that house mostly. They retain the basement, and they have a nice accessory unit here that they're retaining. And then build, a very nice new modern house, which I like, but it got a great view. I hope we'll have some parties here, and I hope they'll invite all of us. But it's just showing you what's going on here, that the land is so valuable and the neighborhood is so valuable. And we're just really talking in this particular segment about making room for mixed incomes, mixed races, more diversity, and how that benefits everyone.
So I'm curious about why does it make economic sense for them to build here, and why can't we just build a co-housing project on this property?
Well, it's illegal to do that on this lot, and the only thing that you can do on this spot is build a single-family house. But interestingly, in this zone, you can also by right have an ADU. This zone was downzoned in 1995, which took away the ability to have 2 or 3 or 4 units that we'll see a little bit later on. So that was unfortunate, but it is cool that they have that opportunity here.
Great, thanks.
David and I made our way down the hill to 750 North Street, where he has been trying to build an 8-condo housing project for a number of years. We continued our conversation in the backyard of the property.
We took a short bike ride down the street, North Street. Now we're at 750 North Street. And David has shown me this property before. It's kind of an older house. How many units can you?
So it's a duplex. It's 2,200 square feet.
Okay.
It's built in 1957, and it's like a museum. It really hasn't been changed since then.
All right, who owns this place?
So I bought it to try to do this co-housing along the street and buy them as they came along, and that was about all I could afford. So then I also brought in 7 other investors to show how neighborhood people can get together and do these kind of innovations.
Cool. And so what was the original plan when you bought this place, and what's the plan now?
So we wanted to build a stealth micro condo project. In other words, something that looks like a typical single family new modern house here that you could legally build, that is the same shape and size without varying any setbacks or any aspect of what could be legally built here. And the only thing we were going to vary is the number of kitchens. That was the original idea, 8 units, and we've just abandoned the pilot for right now. We couldn't get it done.
Move over just a little bit.
And so now we're just going to do what we can do here by right, which is to build a co-op, which here in Boulder means one big shared kitchen, and we're going to have up to 15 people live in that co-op. So we're going to have 10 bedrooms in a new main building. This will all be demolished, and then there'll be an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, in the back that will have a kitchen in it too. Maybe a little family could live in there, and there'll be a garage above it. So a garage above it, a little nice little hobbit unit underneath, and then a new building here. That,
so is there anything in your way from starting this project now? Why aren't there cranes and shovels?
Well, we really just exhausted our 8-unit attempt.
I see.
It really just completely fell apart this last weekend during the council retreat when we couldn't get any progress on that.
I see.
And we had really decided as investors we needed to build something. We accomplished a lot of social mission by building the co-op, and it's a perfectly appropriate part of the overall co-housing, reinventing the street and reinventing the neighborhood and providing an alternative to McMansionization.
So at this point, so the original vision is you had these 7 investors. Were they planning to live here? Or they were just... There
is one who was planning to live there, and then we're trying to get more investors who are residents.
So at this point, you don't expect the investors to live in a co-housing arrangement.
That's right. It doesn't seem like any of them. But after we, show them all the really cool interior views and we get the design going, they'll all flock to it, I'm sure.
For sure. Cool. Okay, so I'm here with David again, and we're in the front yard now. And... so I guess one question I have off the bat, if you don't mind, is are you getting any pushback from your neighbors, or is this really just bureaucratic red tape that's giving you trouble?
We've done extensive community engagement about this project over a variety of years, really over 20 years. And the problem is that, renters come and go. A lot of renters is a renter-dominated area, and they like it. Oh, that sounds great. So what we actually have today, out of 32 lots, 14 are resident owned, 18 are investor owned, meaning they rent it out and they don't live here. So out of the 32 folks who live here, we've reached 24.
32 family units.
Or 32 owners.
Yeah, okay.
32 lot owners. There's 59 total units here, 32 lot owners. 18 are investors, 14 are resident owners. So out of those 32 owner groups, 24 are in favor of it, or they don't feel one way or another about it. They're not going to oppose it. They think it's fine. But there are 2 who weren't in favor of the 8-unit idea that we needed permission to do. And those are the people on either side of us here. And one are investors who don't live here, and they're big bikers, and I've known them for a long time, and they're just like many people here. They don't want to see any population increase in Boulder. And then the folks next door are super nice as well, but they're just concerned there's sort of too many people for the space.
Well, and I can see right now that there's lots of cars parked in the street, and if you have 8 units here or 15 people in a co-housing situation, what about the cars?
So our whole point here in this solution that we're trying to highlight in this episode is the idea that we can add people without adding cars. We can also start to suck up some of the other cars, and the way we're doing that is having 4 shared cars. So whether it was a co-op or the 8 units, the folks aren't allowed to park in this area. If they own a unit, they cannot park a private vehicle here. They can own one, and they can show us how they're going to garage it somewhere else. But then they already own this little fleet of cars and electric bikes and trailers and transit pass. There's another car sharing organization in town, Colorado Car Sharing. They're going to be owners of that. And through their homeowner association dues, they pay for all that. They will own 4 cars themselves. One of them could be a truck or an SUV, but we'd like to buy, at least 3 electric cars. So then the neighbors could also use those cars. So that's what we're saying. So then the neighbors see, oh, those people are underutilizing that. They're willing to share with us. I can sell one of my cars. So that's how we're planning to show in a neighborhood, and this is our neighborhood infill pilot project idea, that we could gradually, upgrade these older buildings instead of the McMansions, make these, some kind of multi-family projects with shared vehicles.
Awesome. So tell me where we're going next. Just point out the direction.
Okay.
And where did we come from?
So we came from up here, from the top of the hill, and I just wanted to quickly make the point that part of this street reinvention we want to do here is to deal with the big drainage problem. There's no stormwater capture here, so we want to create some infill, some little detention ponds and some above grade drainage structures to take care of that climate-oriented deluges.
While David continues to fight to get his inclusive and affordable housing project off the ground, an apartment building just a block away was recently torn down to build 6 luxury condos priced at $1.5 million each. We managed to cross the street without getting run over and continued our conversation at the construction site.
Okay, David, so now we're east of 9th Street. And what's the address we're at?
So this is 940 9th Street. So okay. 9th and then 940 9th Street. And this is a building that I was trying to get a fund together to also buy. This old apartment building that was here, really ugly apartment building, but affordable rental housing for a couple of activists that I knew, an educator and African-American housing advocate, and an LGBTQ advocate who wanted to create a co-op as well. So it was just affordable workforce housing.
How many units were here?
So I think it was 6 or 7, 6. I think it was 6. And now what we're looking at is 6 $1.5 million condos. And I know the builder, who's an old-time carpenter for around here, runs a great company, Brady Burke. They build affordable housing. But this is the unfortunate thing that's going on, is that when there's an opportunity in this now we've crossed the street from the RMX1 zone to a higher density zone, RH5, and the entire place is taken up by luxury units. And of course they pay the cash in lieu fee, which great, it contributes to affordable housing, but it's more segregation of people. That's our point, that we can, without even a subsidy, create housing that has long-term durable affordability and mix people. It's good to mix people up, and we could do it.
So give me some numbers of the kind of building you would build if you were like in charge of this property. You could do what you wanted to with it.
Again, with the idea of reducing the amount of cars, reducing the amount of land and expense for parking in this like very transit-friendly, super walkable area. Yep. We could have higher density, smaller units, a mixture of units. Even on this place, I would try to do the thing that we're talking about is, okay, maybe you even have a couple of subsidized rental units even, but maybe just subsidized for sale units if you really want to. But our method of having some below cost units, a bunch of middle class units that can make some money when you sell them, and then some nice penthouse units that make a lot of money. You could do that kind of mixture without a subsidy. In general. So that's what I would try to do here. We've got 3- and 4-story buildings around here. They're not going to block any mountain view. So it was an awesome opportunity to do that kind of thing.
I just realized, I think I can see Broadway from here. Is that right?
That's right.
So, and then what's this office-looking building down here?
These are, medical offices. I think that's still a medical office. Yeah. There's a dentist down there. There's some rental apartments here, a lot of rental housing, some offices down the way.
Carlight Living is like, this is a perfect place.
This is a perfect spot. There's a big bus line that runs right along there and a commercial center, and it's a great place for a walkable neighborhood.
For more information on David's co-housing project, please visit Goose Creek Community Land Trust at goosecreekclt.org. You can also find the link from our podcast website at sharingboulder.us. This episode of Sharing Boulder was produced by David Adamson and Philip Ogren. Sound and video editing was done by Philip Ogren. The intro music was sampled from Oslodom by Gilberto Gil and is available for use under the Creative Commons Sampling Plus license.